You are subject of the queen. So everyone feels a little bit proud. Oh, I have the queen. Not understanding what kind of tyranny happened during the British Empire too. It's coming out. Shravani, I remember his saying, because he used to work for the United Nations. And he said they ran a study and they found that the most merciful way of, the most just way of government was in the time of kings and during the monarchy. It's not these modern times. And the most just among the monarchs, they were the Ottomans. Everyone was an Ottoman. If you're a Jew, you're an Ottoman Jew. Christian is the same. You belong to that. It was like this or like that. You can say it was egalitarian. Like this or like that. It's not full 100%. The Sultan's wives, they are not his wives. Meaning that the Sultan is not there with his women there to set up a family. Even that luxury that we take for granted when we get married, you want to have a wife, set up a house, it's us against that. That is not given to the Sultan. Like what Sultan Orhan Ghazi said to his son, I believe, if it's not that, it was Sheikh Adebali who advised, saying that, my son, from now on you are the Sultan. Your time is not yours to spend any way that you want. Your life is not yours. Now it belongs to the Ummah. So they were not marrying into families, setting up tribes, setting up. This has been in history, and this is one of the major causes of so much conflict and war, because of one family fighting against another family for generations and generations and generations. Correct? They did away with all of that. Only a few sultan had real wives, the maqam of a wife. Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. But we know that history too, what happened after. So everyone was a property of the Sultan. The men and the women, they were properties of the Sultan. And the Sultan is the property of Allah. So now you're rising above tribal politics, racial politics too. Why is racial politics? You'll find now in the Ottoman court, it's not one race as is defined by the Umayyads and the Abbasis. Arabs, anyone who is non-Arab, low class, second class, third class. They were not putting up Turkishness. You understand? There were so many different races. When the Americans who were going through practicing slavery in the 1800s, when they went to the Ottoman lands and they saw an African Ottoman captain riding on a horse and his subordinate was a white Albanian walking, it blew their minds away. They say, how can this be? In fact, if I'm not wrong, the first pilot in the Ottoman times, when they had that capability and the technology, he was also African. African Americans, that time, they were not even considered human. When the young Turks who were influenced by Western philosophies and politics, and they wanted to overhaul the system of Khilafat, they were looking to the French Revolution as their role model. The French Revolution was the beginning, like what Sheikh Maulana Shah Effendi said, the beginning of the disaster. That was the time that Shaitan opened the doors He broke the dam and never stopping from that time until today. They were looking to the French Revolution. And the French Revolution, the revolutionaries, they inflicted a lot of damage. Then there was a counter-revolutionary, they inflicted a lot. It went on and on. Because systems that does not have Islam, it is just condemned to repeat their own failures. Systems that have Islam and is not taking Islam is still condemned. Do you understand? So, the French revolutionaries, there are three things that they say, this should be our principle. Equality, fraternity, what's the other one? Liberty. Equality, égalité, fraternity, brotherhood. Okay? And liberty, freedom. And when the Young Turks, they took that call, they had all these three things, but the fourth they added, which was missing from these three things. What did they put? Justice. Justice. Where is this justice of the Ottomans? Where did they take it from? Nothing but from the Quran and from the Hadith of the Prophet. They had people of every stripe, of every race, of every nationality, of every religion. It was not your race or your religion that is going to bring you forward or to stop you. It is your merit. You understand? Your skills. Do you have the skills? Yes. Make it. Your religion, it doesn't matter. Because like what the khutbah is saying, we're not here to build utopia. We're here to have justice and to build a civilization. It's enough. We should move on from, oh, you're different from me. You're different religion, different color. Finish. Close that page. We know we're different. Now we need to continue. We need to build this world into a reflection to pull justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala down. Look into their laws, you will understand. This is a very huge topic that even the early Americans, they took from the Ottomans and their laws. The systems of federal government and state governments is all taken from the Ottoman lands that were ruling it that way, that is unheard of during the time of the European rule, especially with Christian European rule. You understand? So many things that we take for granted now, it was already in place during the time of the Ottomans. Like what we were saying yesterday, they gave the rights to little birds who are thirsty and hungry wolves that were in the mountain tops. When there's snow like this, they make it a law that you have to go there and you have to give food to these wolves. That the Jews are saying we'd rather be ruled under the Turkish turban than under the Catholic mitre, you know, that hat that the Pope wears. There are Jews amongst themselves, that there are so many different sects in Judaism, that they found safety in the Ottoman lands. Christians that were in conflict with one another, they found safety in the Ottoman lands. Again, I'm not saying I'm not idealizing this and making that so perfect. I'm saying the system is set up. There are flaws. We are all humans. Yes, it happens. Let me give you one example. The holiest building, the holiest site in Christianity is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Holy Sepulchre is like, you can say, it's a holy tomb, because that's where they discovered, they say, the body of Isa alayhi salam. Then after that he disappeared and he came back, So that is supposed to be the holiest site. There was a church that was built there. Okay? Was this the same church that Umar Hazrat Lari was? This is the same church that Hazrat Umar, and Hazrat Umar is known for what? Justice. He is known very strict with law. You cannot be just if you're not strict with law. You understand? That Hazrat Umar, that he punished his own son. He committed adultery. He was tricked by a Christian person. And the punishment for that was to be whipped 100 times. And the son was not too strong. And he died before the 100 lash was given. They stopped, and Hazrat Umar says, don't stop, continue. He was watching. You think he doesn't have a heart? You think Hazrat Umar is the one whose heart shook just by listening to the verses of the Quran? He doesn't have a heart when he sees his son is being whipped like that? He says, continue. Because maybe he's not going to be punished on the hereafter if you continue. And they looked up to Hazrat Umar. That was the law of Hazrat Umar, feeding the wolves, because it's a saying from Hazrat Umar, if there is a hungry wolf on the other side of the Tigris River or the Euphrates during Umar's reign, Umar is going to be questioned by Allah on the Day of Judgment why that wolf has gone hungry. And the Ottomans were taking that very seriously. So when Hazrat Umar conquered the Qudus, he did so many things there. He cleared up the holiest place for Judaism that was made into a public toilet, a latrine. They were putting their waste there. The Christians were. And they stopped the Jews from coming to worship there for a very long time. And when Hazrat Umar entered, of course there are prophecies also amongst the Jews and the Christians, what is going to happen, how the Qudus is going to be conquered too. And the Jews, they see in Hazrat Umar the laws and the strictness of Musa alayhi salam. And the Christians, they see the humility of Isa alayhi salam, because Hazrat Umar, he didn't want any procession or anything, and he entered into Qudus, into Jerusalem, barefoot, wearing his khirqa sharif, that is torn here, that is patched here. And just by that they were struck. They invited him to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. He went inside. They invited him to pray inside. He says, I'm not going to pray. Everybody thought, oh, he's not going to pray because he hated Christianity. He says, no, because if I pray, later Muslims are going to turn this church into a masjid because I prayed here. He prayed outside. It was the same Hazrat Umar who came to that place, to the Wailing Wall, they call it, it's Hadrian's Wall. That is one of the last walls of the temple. That say temple, they say temple, we say the masjid. That coming from all the time from Hazrati Sulaiman, Hazrati Daud alayhi salam's time. And they go there to worship. And the Christians turn that into a toilet. And Hazrat Umar went there himself, going on his hands and knees, and he cleared up the place. And he asked the Jews to return. You understand? And Hazrat Umar was known for what? For his laws. He put down so many rules, so many laws that are still standing today. Us reciting 3 Ikhlas, that is coming from Hazrat Umar. Praying 21 rakats for Taraweeh praise, that is coming from Hazrat Umar. Of course, ultimately from the Holy Prophet ﷺ, but he made it into a public practice. Okay? And Sultan Sulaiman, that so many, they are saying maybe he is the greatest Sultan, that the West, they call him Sultan Sulaiman the Magnificent, because they like his jewels and his silks and his palaces. That's why they call him Magnificent. But he's not known as Sultan Sulaiman the Magnificent amongst the Ottomans. He is known as Kanuni Sultan Sulaiman, canon, because he's known for his laws, setting down law. When there is law, you are given your right, and you're protected by that law. Christian, Jewish, Muslim, living in that time. He was very sophisticated. So here we're not just talking about spirituality that we talked about yesterday, that was a high level of spirituality amongst the people and their culture in the Ottoman lands. Here we're talking about even their politics. You understand? Even their law. It is just saturated with justice and also with spirituality, because they're taking it from the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Yeah. That was that time. It is inconceivable for us. Either we're going to get suspicious and we say, oh, you're just romanticizing it. Or if we see the reality and we say that it cannot be, how can such a people like this exist? They have such delicacy of spirit and such wisdom, such innocence, and also such experience. Like what Shaykh Effendi is saying. They can never get it. They can never understand Muslims. The one who can pull out a sword for the sake of Allah with no hatred in his heart. And he's going to make the most delicate calligraphy. And he's going to be the most gentle to the children. So there was a period. It wasn't 50 years. It wasn't 100 years. You understand? It was hundreds of years. 600 years, 700 years past, we'll say at least. Understand, Islam is 1400 years. The Umayyads, they ruled for what? 150, 200 years. The Abbasis, more or less. Let's give them 400 years. For 1,000 years, Islam was ruled under the Abbasis, but with the Seljuks and with the Ottomans. So you want to understand what justice is? Study those who have justice, the systems. How did they go about it? How did they go about that? We're talking about the delicacy of the justice of the people, that in their lowest times, when they were building a railroad connecting Istanbul to Medina, to Mecca, to make it easier for the pilgrims, for the Hajjis to travel, that within a certain distance of the Rawza Sharif, they would cover the train tracks with felt, like a carpet, so that it doesn't make noise and sound, because you're approaching the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and Allah says, do not raise your voices in his presence. They were not, this was not by like saints or of course they are saints, but they're not like spiritual people who are doing it. These are architects too, like us. These are doctors and lawyers too, like us. These are engineers too, like us, but they have that extra, they have that spirit. There are cooks too. There are artists. There are people who are very strong in also bringing out the material aspect of this dunya, but they were not worshipping it. They were regular people, like us. If we're not understanding them, we're not going to find our direction. We're going to find our direction where the sun is setting in the west. We're just slowly coming out of colonialism. I mean, we're out, maybe post-colonialism. Maybe when we continue to wake up, we're going to understand what happened before colonialism. Because right after the Muslim lands, we declared ourselves independent or rebelled against the Khalifa, we did not become free. We became the slaves of the unbelievers. We didn't want to become servants to Allah. We became the slaves to the unbelievers. And the damage that they've inflicted say in India, or in the Middle East, in the Balkans, or Southeast Asia, we're still feeling today. It doesn't look like it's going to go away for a very long time. You understand? Because we say we don't want the shadow of Allah on earth. Allah is saying, now you're going to shield under the shadow of your greatest enemy, Shaitan. We have no hatred and we have no problems with anyone. We're not saying we're hating the Jews or hating the Christians or hating, no. There are things that are in their religion and their practice we don't agree with. You can disagree without hatred. Of course you can. There are so many things, good qualities among you. Of course there are. We're not going from one extreme to the other extreme. And we are understanding that the justice and the rights that America is offering to its people, you cannot find anywhere in this place of this earth that comes close to it. That in that way, this country is holding on to the Shariat of Allah stronger than so many countries in the world, including Muslim countries. Correct? Can you sit down and make zikr in Muslim countries? In some Muslim countries, you cannot even establish a place of worship without the government's permission. In some Muslim countries, they have big population of Muslims. The government controls the majlis, and they regulate everything. Imagine that they have 100 masjids in that country, and every masjid recite the same khutbah that the government has put down. What would the Christians say if that was put to their religion? What would the Buddhists say? What would the Jews say? What would the Hindus say? They're going to say this is completely unfair, this is unjust. But that has been happening to Muslim populations and so many Muslim countries for decades. Correct? We can make zikr here. We cannot make zikr in so many Muslim countries. So we understand that too. And our call is beyond Muslim, Christian, or Jewish. Our call is people who believe in truth and the people who don't believe in truth. People who believe in justice and those who don't believe in justice. Now, whatever that is happening here in America, it is beyond now religion or race. People are slowly starting to wake up. And they say, we have to stand up for what is right. Now, they're getting wiser and more intelligent. They're waking up. They're starting to know who is who, what is this law, what is this governor, what is this plans. Everyone is from the slumber of decades that they make us to sleep, to be drugged since the 70s. 60s, there was a time where civil rights movement was coming up. Now they say you cannot have now this kind of people every decade coming up trying to change things. We have, the Masons are saying, we have our own agenda. Give them drugs, give them rock and roll, give them everything. 70s, huh? Give them sports. Big thing. You don't see Muslim countries, whole country staying up on the night of Laylatul Qadr to pray together, but you see a whole country staying up to watch football or cricket. Correct? It's okay if it's happening to non-Muslims. Happening to Muslims. We lost our head or something? We're chasing after a stupid ball. Football is an empty ball. Questioning, of course you have to question. You don't question, you don't think, you will not get the answer. At that time people are just going to tell you what is what. Are you going to follow? So I say give them all of this. 70s, 80s, give them this. 90s, give them this, this. And now I think, okay, give them the internet, give them reality shows, give them everything. Now the shaitans are fighting with shaitans because one group of shaitans saying, slow down. The other group says, no, it's now or never. So they're fighting. Same shaitan. Understand? But now, people who have some heart, they're going to wake up because they say, people who have intelligence, it is not grayness. It is not gray. There is no confusion. People who have intelligence, they say white is still white, black is still black. But they see how it's being changed. They are not fooled. They are not confused. But they see the confusion. You understand? Those who don't have intelligence, they're going to say, I don't know which way to turn. Tariqat must teach you intelligence. Spirituality must teach you intelligence. At least this is our own personal experience. Before we don't know. Now certain things are shown. Now we make the decision. So, yes, we are aware. So many things in this country is good. So many things in this country must be better. Should be better. If this country is holding on to the ideals. But man, it can never become better if he doesn't understand the mistakes that he has done. If as a nation we are not owning up to the mistakes that we have done and try to run to fix them, the rights that we have taken away from so many people, if we are not doing that, we are condemned to just continue this. And it's going to get worse. If we turn around and we say, yes, we have done wrong, very big wrong to the original natives of this country. We have done big wrong, say, to the Africans that we have taken as slaves and we put them in this country. If we admit that we have done wrong, say, to the Japanese of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that if we wake up and we say, yes, we have done wrong, to Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, the list is ever increasing, right? Then we can make a step forward. If not, this is just going to continue. But it's okay. We can say, because nobody is listening. And we have nothing. We don't want anything. And we have nothing that they want anyway. This is for you and for me. It is part of our Shariat, of Islam. Whichever country that you belong to, you have to follow the laws of that country. It is a law for us to obey the laws of this country. We are doing it. Alhamdulillah. We're doing that more. So we should not be afraid. Tamam? And may Allah put justice in our hearts and in our actions. This is what we're teaching individually here. How are you going to treat each other? How are you going to speak to each other? How are you going to watch the situations? Not to take each other's rights. This is what we're trying to teach. But don't. When something is done to you, as you read, you smile and you swallow. You try to digest it. You cannot. You come to me. If you try to solve it in other way, it will fall. It doesn't work like that. Because we don't ask for the rights, we ask that Allah forgives our rights on others. Isn't that with what we've been saying for the sajda shukur that we're making? Inshallah, that time you will have more power and more strength. And you're going to have more wisdom and more energy to keep doing your things, and you're not going to be stressed out whether people are going to praise you or they're going to curse you, because you know who you're doing it for. Wa min Allahu tawfiq al-Fatiha.